Duality's vision and mission in this world is basically to unlock healthcare data to allow to improve patient outcomes, costs, and so on. And the way that we look at the problem is that the data is already out there. We spent decades of collecting the data, normalizing the data, making it digital, and now is the time to basically start to analyze it. We have the analysis tools, we have the data. What we really have to solve is how can we do this in a responsible way? That's what's hindering a lot of the advancements in this ecosystem. Duality's vision and mission is really to unlock these barriers, allow the industry to work freely on data, at the same time protecting it. That's exactly the duality, to protect the data and at the same time to utilize it in order to drive better outcomes. So one of the biggest challenges in today's data-driven world in healthcare is the ability to access data and work with data that is disparate, that is allocated in different centers and different locations. One of the biggest challenges is really to connect and link data and aggregate data together. We as humans or as patients, we have clinical data, genomical data, wearable data, behavioral data, all these types of data you want to try and bring together and link them on one hand. And the other side is when you're doing research and life sciences, you want to work on heterogeneous patient cohorts and data sets. This requires the ability to basically work on data that is distributed. And the big challenge in healthcare is how to do this in a way that preserves privacy. So if we look at today's data-driven world, there's many industries that utilize data and get a lot of insights and value out of data. We as consumers see it in our day-to-day life. You wake up in the morning and you can look at a web application to see what is the weather forecast. You get into your car, you can use a transport application to see how long it will take you to get to someplace quite accurately. We get recommendations to movies, we get best offers when we go to shop, and that we're not seeing in the healthcare space. This ability to utilize this patient data, healthcare data, and drive insights, drive value to consumers, but to patients, but not only to patients, also to government entities, to life sciences companies, to provider, requires what's called real-world evidence while analyzing what's called real-world data. This real-world evidence is basically the ability to look at patients and people in their normal environments as well as in the clinic environment to aggregate their data, to analyze it and come out with outcomes. Be it outcomes to how to save costs or improve treatments or test the efficacy of drugs. All these things require what's called real-world evidence, which is data on patients out there in the world. And real-world evidence is the ability to take this data, analyze it, and create valuable insights out of it to drive a better outcome to our society and healthcare in general. Duality enables our customers to access data and analyze data that is distributed and remote. So for example, if you're a life science company and you want to have access to multiple providers that have their patient data, or if you're a provider that wants to link data on your patients from multiple sources, Duality allows to run the analytics, do this analysis on the data while it's distributed, while it resides in the places it was generated. The way we do this is by using what's called privacy-enhancing technologies that basically maintains the privacy and the security of the data during the analysis and while the analysis. The data never leaves the organizations in its form that can be exposed to any party in the ecosystem. So one of the critical needs that requires to link patient data across healthcare is the ability that we as human beings have many different aspects. If you're trying to, for example, do analysis on a drug efficacy and you're only looking at the clinical data, you're missing you're missing a lot of the person behind that. If you can combine the dietary profile of the person, the physical activity of the person, behavioral data, genomic data, clinical data. You get a much, much wider view of the patient, and then your analysis can be better and the insights derived out of it are better. Without linking this data, it's like looking at a patient through a straw hole. You see every time just a little bit of information and you don't get the full picture. And that, of course, hinders the results. So the ability to link data and create a full picture is like what we many times as human beings do when we make our decisions. We look at many, many dimensions of a problem. Just let's say, for example, let's say you're going to buy a house. You don't only look at the price, or you don't only look at the neighborhood, or you don't only look at the education level there. You look at all of these things together, including your neighbors, including the weather, including many, many other attributes in order to make your decision. The same is required in healthcare to come to better decisions, to combine and link this data to get a much, much more rich patient profile. Yes, I can definitely give some example of our customers utilizing our systems and how that's driving value. So from the provider side of the house, our providers are allowing life science customers and pharma customers to basically analyze the data that resides within their premises in a privacy-preserving manner. So allowing to advance the research, allowing to advance our treatments, utilizing their data, but at the same time, the providers protect their data and meet the different security and compliance measures that are needed. On the other side, the life science customers, of course, are getting a much more richer set of data and a much more accurate set of data because they now have the ability to tap into multiple resources and do much more robust types of analysis, cross jurisdictions, cross borders, cross institutes, and create a much more robust and insightful set of data.